When you called the airlines to arrange transportation, did you call downstairs to the front desk to arrange a cab?
I don't recall.
What's your best recollection, Mr. Simpson?
I don't recall.
Did you make any other phone calls?
Well, here's another one to my home.
One to your house?
Well, this says here.
Which one is that?
476-4619.
And who did you speak to there?
I believe a police officer, and I may have spoke to Arnell at that time.
Who was the police officer you spoke to at your Rockingham house?
I don't know.
What did he say to you?
I don't recall.
Nothing?
I don't remember.
And Arnell?
She was just upset, basically. I was trying to calm her down at that point.
What did Arnell say, if anything, about what had happened to her that evening?
I don't think she did.
Nothing?
I don't believe so. I don't recall.
Did she have a boyfriend at that time?
I don't believe so. She may have, but I don't believe so.
Did she ask you if you knew anything about Nicole's death?
No.
Did you make any calls from your cell phone from the hotel?
No.
Any?
Maybe from the lobby or downstairs while I was waiting.
When you went downstairs?
Possibly, yes.
Now, you said something before that when you cut your finger or hand or whatever on the glass in the bathroom, that you were on hold?
We're not going back through the cutting of the finger. You spent well over an hour.
I'm not going to ask him about the cuts. I just want to ask him if he's about on hold. Were you on hold at that time?
At some point in time, an operator, it may have happened more than once, said, well, you got a minute? Let me check through it. And I said, sure. I'll be right back to the phone if I'm not here. And I was trying to pack and everything. So, yes. I mean, when I said I was on hold, she was taking some time to do whatever she was doing. And I was trying to pack at the same time.
Okay. Immediately after you cut your hand, did you tell anyone on the phone that you had done so?
I don't recall. I may have.
Who did you tell?
As I just told you, I don't recall. I may have.
Do you think you may have told an operator?
I may have.
That you cut your hand?
I may have.
Did you tell Kathy Randa?
I don't believe so.
Did you tell Arnell?
No.
Okay. Now, when you got downstairs, you said you made some cell phone calls. Is that right?
I said I may have, yes.
Okay. Did you call Kathy Randa back?
I may have.
What did you tell her?
I don't recall if I called her or not.
Did you call Lewis Brown?
I may have.
Did you reach him?
No.
You called his home?
Yes.
And there was no answer?
There was an answer.
Who answered?
Denise Brown.
And what did she say?
She started screaming.
Screaming at you?
Yes.
What was she saying?
I don't know. She was just yelling.
Was she saying you killed her?
I didn't hear that.
Was she saying words to the effect that you were responsible for Nicole's death?
She might have.
What did you say to her?
She hung up.
Did you get a chance to say anything?
No.
Now, was this phone call to Denise?
Well, the phone call where Denise was. It wasn't to Denise.
Withdrawn. Was this phone call to the Brown residence in which Denise answered the phone the first time that anyone had intimated to you that you were responsible for Nicole's death?
Obviously, yes. If that's what she did. I mean, she was just screaming, and then the phone went dead.
Did you call her right back?
No.
Who'd you call after Denise?
I don't know.
Peter, you have the next one? Cell phone records. And what was the sense of what she was screaming about, Mr. Simpson?
I don't know. She was just seemed totally out of it. Seemed hysterical.
You couldn't tell what she was saying?
No.
And did you try calling her back?
No.
Why not?
I was dealing with my own feelings.
What was your purpose in calling Lewis Brown?
To talk to him?
Did you ask Denise, did you call back to talk to him?
No.
Okay. Had you spoken to your children by this time?
No.
And did you know where they were?
I believe they were, I'm not sure at what time we're talking. At one point, I think I was aware that they were on their way to Laguna.
Do you know where those cell phone records are? Let's speed this up. Here. Okay. Here. I'll have to mark this. I think it's already an exhibit, but I can't find it right now, but... These are the 613. Let me see how to get it here. Here we go. Yeah, here we go. 613. From your cell phone, you called 766-10079. Do you see that?
Yes.
And whose number is that?
Kathy Randall.
Okay. And you called Kathy after Denise, right?
I don't know.
And tell me what you discussed with Kathy.
I think the flight that I was trying to make or the flight that I had made.
You told her that you had caught your flight, right?
I don't know. It was either the flight I was trying to make.
That you arranged your flight, right?
Well, it was, I told her I had a range of, I'm sure in one of these calls I told her I had a flight. I just didn't know if I would make the flight. And because it was pretty tight.
And did you remember anything else you and she spoke about?
No.
And then you called the 310-459-2414.
Yes.
I'm sorry, 3104.
592414. Who's that?
Skip tab.
You spoke to him?
Yes. I believe so, yes.
Was that the first time you spoke to Taft that day?
I don't know.
And what was that conversation about?
Don't answer that.
Was that for the purpose of discussing legal matters?
No.
Okay, well then tell me what you discussed.
I told him what happened. What I had known that happened.
And what did you say to Mr. Taft?
That Nicole had been killed.
Did he know already?
I don't recall. I don't think so. I'm not sure.
And what did he say?
I don't know.
Did
He
you
was
tell
upset.
him that you
Sorry,
were...
I was upset.
He was upset, I'm sure.
Did you tell him that you were being blamed?
No.
Did you tell him that Denise had accused you?
No.
No discussion about your involvement?
No.
Did he ask you?
No.
Who did you call next?
I don't know.
820-6759. Who's that?
Skip's office, so maybe I didn't get him at home.
That's his other number?
Yes.
Okay. And then we have 459-2414. That's Taft again, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then you have 476-1706. And who's that?
I don't know.
Now, all these cell phone calls are made on the way to the airport?
Possibly, I don't know. I could have been in front of their hotel also.
Waiting for the ride, right?
Waiting for a cab or Merrill.
Now, I will represent to you that 476-1706 is the phone number of Kato Kaelin.
Okay.
And why did you call Kato Kaelin?
To find out what was going on.
What was going on about what?
What was going on about the murder of Nicole.
Why would you call Kato Kaelin about Nicole's murder?
Because he was living at my house and there was a lot of police at my house. And trying to talk to anybody who might know anything that was going on.
How did you know there were police at your house?
Because I spoken to the police earlier.
And why did they tell you why they were at your house?
No.
Did you question, what are you doing at my house?
No, I was hoping they were taking care of my family.
Is that what they told you?
No.
When you spoke to the police in all of the conversations before the Kaelin conversation, did you ask them what they were doing at your house?
No.
Did they tell you that they were searching for evidence or anything like that?
No.
You thought they were there taking care of your children?
I assume so.
Is that what you thought?
Yes.
But you called Kato Kaelin to find out if that was true?
Just called Kato to find out what was going on.
Now, you believed that there was activity going on at your house in which the police were searching for evidence, right?
I didn't know what they were doing. No one said that to me at that time.
But you wanted to find out, Kaelin, what the police were doing at your house, correct?
No. I just wanted to find out from Kato or talk to him about what was going on.
What was going on about what?
Just everything.
This is a person you barely knew.
That's not necessarily true.
Well, why would you call Kato Kaelin within an hour of finding out that your wife has been murdered?
Because he was at my home. He had talked about some noises the night before. He was at my home.
So when he talked about those noises, you were concerned that he might know something about the murder?
Well, I don't know.
About what he might have found.
And
I
what?
don't know.
So you made an association between the murder and the sounds that Kaelin heard.
I may have.
Yes. And tell us what he said to you about that association.
Nothing. I never talked to him. I don't think he was there.
Well, did you ask him, Kato, those sounds you heard, did you find anything?
He wasn't
I
there.
think he
never
wasn't
talked to
there.
him.
I never talked to him.
You never got a chance to talk to him?
No.
How did you know he wasn't there, Mr.
He just said it.
If you listen,
you,
I just said
you
it.
gotta listen. David's got it on his screen.
He did say. Did you talk to him that day?
That day?
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you talk to him before you arrived in Los Angeles?
No.
But you tried a couple of times, right?
I don't know. I don't know if that was the only time I tried or not.
You tried at least 3 or 4 times to call Kato Kaelin by the time you landed in Los Angeles, didn't you?
I don't know. I don't know if that's true. I might have.
If the phone records indicate it's true, then it's true, right?
Yes.
The cell phone records and the air phone records, right?
Yes.
And your purpose in calling Kaelin was to find out what he knew, right?
No, just to find out what was going on.
And to talk about your story and his story, right?
No.
And to talk about what he had seen the night before, right?
No.
And to talk about what you and he had done the night before, right?
No.
You deny all those things?
Yes.
You deny that that was your purpose or intention?
Yes.
You had no such thought in mind.
That's correct.
You just wanted to call and see how he was doing, is that right?
Not
Enough.
necessarily.
Enough.
Not necessarily.
No.
What did you want to call him for?
As I said, to find out what was going on.
That was the first time you wanted to call him. Why'd you want to call him 2, 3, 4 times?
Because I never got him.
But you could ask other people what
Ask
was
someone.
going on.
I did.
Why were you so insistent on finding out from Kato Kaelin what was going on?
Well, don't answer that. That's argumentative.
It's not argumentative.
Of course, because he was so insistent.
Sure.
That's your characterization.
Well,
You can
had,
ask him
okay,
a question.
You had a desire to get in touch with Kato Kaelin, correct?
Correct.
And you wanted to find out what was going on, right?
Correct.
From Kato Kaelin, right?
From anybody that can tell me.
Well, from Kato Kaelin too, right?
Yes.
Who else did you call besides Kato Kaelin?
At my home?
Other than what we've been testifying to for half an hour or 45 minutes?
Well, you called Leroy Taft, Kathy Randa, correct? And they are among
Yes.
your closest friends and advisors, right?
Yes.
And Kato Kaelin is not, right?
But Kato Kaelin was at my home, and since the police wouldn't tell me anything, and Arnell tried to tell me whatever she knew, which was nothing, maybe Kato knew something that was going on.
Did you try reaching Kaelin at various numbers?
That morning, no. I
Did
wouldn't
you-
know any other number to try him.
Well, did you talk to Taft or Randa about where Kaelin could be found?
No.
Excuse me?
No.
Did you ask Kathy or Randa, Arnell, or Taft, or anyone else to get in touch with Kaelin?
No.
Or to help you get in touch with Kaelin?
No.
Or where Kaelin could be found?
No.
Or what Kaelin knew?
No.
What made you associate the noises that Kaelin heard with Nicole's murder?
I didn't really associate anything. When I left my house, Kato was concerned about some noises, and the next thing I heard about my life in LA is that Nicole was murdered. So the police wouldn't tell me anything. Arnell didn't know anything. Kato was at my home. Maybe he knew something.
So you thought the murderer might have gone to your home?
Not necessarily, no.
But that was a possibility?
I didn't know.
But that was a thought that entered your mind?
Not really, no.
Well, then why did you make that association?
I didn't
He
really
didn't
make
say. He
an
said
Yes,
he
he
didn't
did.
associate. Matter
Mr.
of fact, he
Baker?
said he did not associate
Yes.
those noises.
Mi-
Read it back.
Excuse me, Mr. Baker.
I want it read back.
Earlier in the testimony, he said he made that association, and I'm asking him why he did so. You want to,
I don't agree with that.
Well,
That
you
is
want-
what he said.
do you want to now say that you didn't make that association?
Don't argue with him because it's on the thing, and I wrote it down. He did not associate.
What's it say? Yeah. Okay. Nicole was killed at Bundy, right?
Yes,
And the noises are heard at Rockingham, right?
yes,
But because you heard, because Kaelin told you about noises at Rockingham, you wanted to find out from Kaelin what he knew about the murder of Nicole at Bundy. Is that right?
no,
You deny that?
yes.
What caused you to even think that there was any connection, association, or relationship between the thumps you heard at Rockingham from, excuse me,
You never heard
withdrawn.
any thumps.
Withdrawn. What made you think that there was any association, connection, or relationship between the noises that Kaelin told you he had heard at Rockingham with your wife's murder at Bundy?
Nothing.
You said a few moments ago that you did make such a connection in your mind.
No, I didn't say that. I said that the last thing that I talked to about my home when I left was Kato. He was concerned, and the next thing I heard was Nicole was murdered. I talked to Arnell. She didn't know anything. The police wouldn't tell me anything. Kato was there. He was an adult. Arnell was somewhat hysterical. So I just wanted to ask Kato what was going on.
And what was the connection in your mind between what concern Kato had expressed to you when you left the property at Rockingham and your wife's murder?
None.
What's 16513?
The page in line.
Page in line.
Can you go to that? I'll read that.
Sorry.
Page 165, line 13.
You mean from the previous day?
No, today.
Oh, today. Just a few minutes.
We're not doing too well today, Mr. Baker. Only 165 pages. There's long breaks.
Page and line numbers and the real
How do you guys have page and line numbers if you
You get it, but I don't.
Well, let me read it on the real time, okay?
That's real time.
Question. So you have made an association, oh, excuse me? Start where? Okay, question. This was a few minutes ago, Mr. Simpson. Why would you call Kato Kaelin within an hour of finding out that your wife has been murdered? Answer. Because he was at my home. He had talked about something the night before. He was at my home. Whether he talked about those noises you were whether he talked about those noises you were concerned that he might have thought. I can't read this real time. It's in abbreviations, Mr. Baker.
I didn't say a word, sir. Don't look accusatory at me.
Can you read it, Mr. Blasier?
On the game, okay.
I'd like to question you about that. Can we stop for a second? Let's go back to it, David, okay? Because you can find it for me. Stop typing. Stop typing.
talking.
Go back.
Let me see what the context was again.
How many times do you look at that again? People are asking David to read stuff while he's writing.
No, this just popped into the
If I bring mine, can you put it on the tape?
This just popped into the paper.
Okay. Keep going. Keep. Stop.
Yeah. Or farther. Is this it?
No, back four.
Move back.
Back four. Stop.
This?
Back more.
No, you passed it. Past it. Going backward? This one?
No, it's back more. So, keep going. Keep going.
I saw it the other way.
Right there,
here
right
we
there.
go.
Stop.
This thing?
Yeah, can you read your writing?
Question, why would you call Kato?
Stop right there and start up there, okay?
Question, why would you call Kato Kaelin within an hour of finding out that your wife has been murdered? Answer, because he was at my home. He had talked about some of those noises the night before. He was at my home. Question, when he talked about those noises, you were concerned that he might know something about the murder? Answer, what he might have found, I don't know. Question, so you made an association between the murder and the sounds that Kaelin heard? Answer, I may have.
You may stop. So we're back on the record. I now have the reporter read to you that you made an association.
No, that's not what
he
I
didn't.
said.
He said he may have. You say he did.
I now have had the reporter read back to you your prior testimony where you said that you may have made an association between the noises that Kato told you about in Nicole's murder. Did you hear that testimony?
Yes.
What was that association that you may have made?
Wasn't an association. It was just, there was noises he had said the night before. I knew he was at the house. Arnell was upset. The police wouldn't tell me anything. That's it.
But you said you may have made such an association. What did you mean by that?
I meant that morning.
You've
so
answered
many
the question.
things were in my...
You've answered the question. Don't answer it again.
You're not going to let him
No.
answer? You wanted to talk to Kaelin to cover your tracks, right?
No.
You've been through this.
You're going to deny it if I ask you again. Who did you call after Kaelin?
I don't know.
Who's Jonah Wilson?
A friend of Arnell's.
Why'd you call him?
Because I believe Arnell went to his house.
How did you know that?
I was told that.
By whom?
Arnell.
When?
Whenever I talked to her previous to that.
Did you speak to Jonah Wilson that evening?
I don't know.
On the plane?
I don't know.
You don't remember?
No.
When you called Jonah Wilson's number, the only person you spoke to was Arnell?
I don't know if I spoke to anyone. I just don't recall.
Phone record shows 10 minutes worth of calls to the number of Jonah Wilson.
What do you mean, worth the calls?
2 calls totaling 10 minutes from the air phone.
Well, I must have talked to Arnell then.
Not Jonah.
If Jonah was taken care of, I may have talked to Jonah a little bit too.
Did Arnell go with Mr. Cowling with your children?
I don't think so, but as I told you before, I didn't know.
So you think you might have spoken to Mr. Wilson?
I may have.
Had you met him before?
Yes.
How many occasions?
Well, I've known him since he was a kid. They grew up together.
Is he the son of Carl Wilson?
Of the Beach Boys, Brian, one of the Wilson guys, yes.
Yeah. And was he a boyfriend of Arnell's?
No.
Just a friend?
Her best friend for 15 years now, since they were kids.
Did you remember talking to Mr. Jonah Wilson?
No.
Not at all?
No.
Did you make a lot of phone calls from the airplane?
I may
I
have
don't know what
tried.
a lot it is, but
Yeah.
Like 30?
I may have tried.
What was your purpose in making all these phone calls from the airplane?
Well, my purpose wasn't to make all those calls. It was just tough getting through because the airplane phones kept cutting out.
The record showed numerous calls to Kathy Rand and Leroy Taft.
Yeah.
Why were you calling Leroy Taft and Kathy Rand so many times?
well,
Because
no, well, show him the phone records and see what so many times are, rather than
Would you like to see them, Mr. Baker?
yeah,
Okay.
a lot of calls and so many times. That's
I'm going to mark this as the next exhibit in order, which is exhibit, I think it's 74, isn't it? 73?
73 is the Hojo.
Okay, here's 73.
thank you.
Did you look at all of this? Much as you forgot?
You want to you can take a moment to review
I know you
these
have to
phone
show me where
calls.
to look. 'Cause
These are all
I
the-
can't read this.
You understand that when you make air phone calls are billed to your credit card, right?
Yes.
And you made all the phones on your credit card, right?
I'm sure I did, yes.
And your credit card was 089148331082057022, correct?
I don't know.
But you don't have any reason to doubt that, do you?
No.
Okay. Now, I have here a chart that indicates the order of these phone calls. And the first one is to Kato Kaelin, okay, on the airplane. The last call you had made on your cellular was to Kato Kaelin, and then the first call on the airphone was to Kato Kaelin.
Mm-hmm.
So you were very interested in getting in touch with Mr. Kaelin.
Don't
correct?
answer that.
No, not really. Yeah.
Not really?
Well, I didn't get through. If you don't get through, you try again.
First call on the airplane to Mr. Kaelin.
You can characterize it any way you want.
What was the purpose of the numerous calls on here without having to go through each and every one of them to Randa and Taft?
To tell them my flight, but I couldn't get through, so I kept trying until I got through.
And once you got through and told them your flight, was there any further need to talk to them?
I don't know about need, but, you know, someone was just murdered, as far as I knew, and I was hurting. Maybe they were just trying to, I think we might have prayed a little bit. I don't know.
Who'd you pray with?
I believe Kathy, I think, skipped a little bit. When I said pray, we got a little religious with one another. Skip is a somewhat religious person. But, yes, I think it was just they were trying to do what a friend would do in these circumstances.
What do you mean somewhat religious?
He goes to church.
Is he Christian?
Yes.
And you're a Christian?
Yes.
And Randa is?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, when you say you got religious together, what was the reason for that?
I don't know. Someone died in our life. That's what tends to happen when that happens.
Was there any praying or religious expression expression for you?
But stay strong, yes. I'm sure that was it. I think that's what they were trying to do, soothe me, and in a sense I was trying to soothe Kathy. I know that because she was pretty upset and distraught. So we're just trying to, soothe each other, I guess,
Was there any discussion in any of these phone calls with Randa or Taft about your involvement?
No,
Not once?
not once.
Not a single question to you
No,
about whether you knew anything?
no,
About whether you knew who might have killed Nicole?
no,
About what your whereabouts were?
no,
Whether you had an alibi?
no,
They didn't ask you any of these things?
No.
Never came up once?
never.
And was there any discussion in any of these conversations with Taft and Randa about what the cops knew?
No,
What information that they were uncovering?
no.
Now, after you had called Randa and Taft and Kato Kaelin, all these times, had you spoken to your children?
Let's
No.
knock the pejorative all these times off.
Well, I don't want to go through them all, but, there's numerous calls to them. I mean,
The times indicated on Exhibit 73 is fine with me.
you had not yet spoken to your children, correct?
I think they were en route to Laguna at that time.
During the entire time you were on the airplane?
I don't know about the entire time, but during the course of that time, I did speak to one of my daughters, Arnell.
But not to Justin and Sydney?
No.
Weren't you concerned that your children had just lost their mother?
Yes.
Didn't you want to speak to them above anything else?
Once I got myself together, I certainly did, yes.
Didn't you put their welfare above yours?
They were in good hands. AC is the best.
But he's not their father, is he?
No, and I couldn't have them in my arms because I was on an airplane, and I did not want to talk to them on a crowded airplane, and I wanted to get myself together before I spoke to them, yes.
So you made a choice not to speak to them until you were in person.
Yes.
And did you stick to that choice?
I don't know. I may have spoke to them that night once I was at my home.
On the telephone?
I may have, yes. I'm not sure.
When did you first speak to Nicole's parents?
Sometime that day, maybe even on the airplane, but sometime that day.
And did you ever speak to Denise again?
No.
Who did you speak to?
I believe Judy.
And tell me about your conversation with Judy.
It was just a matter of us, you know, trying to comfort one another.
Did Judy ask you any questions about your whereabouts?
No.
Was she accusatory at all?
No.
Did she ask you if you knew anything about how Nicole had died?
No.
Or who would kill Nicole?
No.
When did you first find out that Nicole had been murdered?
The morning of the police call.
They told you that it was a murder?
Yeah, I believe his words were murder, but he may have said Nicole was killed, but I thought he said murder.
In thinking back, he may have said Nicole was killed. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but I'm almost positive he said murdered, but killed, he could have used that word too.
And if he did use that word, kill, rather than murdered, why did you believe she was murdered?
He said killed or murdered, and when I asked him what did he mean, his litany was, we don't know, we're trying to find out. I'm sure if it was anything other than murdered, he would have told me it was a car accident, if it was a car accident, but he was very insistent on telling me that they were investigating, they didn't know, that they were trying to find out OJ.
So as far as you know, she could have been run over by a car, right?
I didn't feel that, no.
You didn't feel that way?
No.
But he didn't tell you how she had been killed, correct?
No, that's correct.
There are several calls to the Simpson Enterprises cellular phone. What were those calls for, and to whom were they made?
I'm sorry.
You
I
made-
don't know what do you mean, Simpson Enterprises cellular phone?
You made several phone calls from the airplane to a number in the name of Simpson Enterprises, to a cell phone in the name of Simpson Enterprises.
Mm-hmm.
That's Kathy's cell phone?
I would think so, yes.
And you called the number in the San Fernando Valley, 818-362-5643. Whose number is that?
I don't know.
5-minute phone call? I withdraw that. That call was made from your cellular phone to a San Fernando phone number, the 213-712-9836 cellular phone. Would that have been Kathy's call?
Yes.
Do you know whose number that is?
No.
Did you tell Kathy or Leroy to call anybody for you?
No. Yes.
Whom?
I told Leroy at one point to call maybe Howard Weissman.
And why did you ask him to do that?
Because the lawyer sitting next to me on the phone suggested that I should.
The lawyer sit next to you on the phone?
Yeah, while I was on the phone on the plane.
Oh, while you were on the
suggested that I
airplane.
did.
What
Yeah.
was that lawyer's name?
I don't know, he was in court though.
And how did that lawyer know that you might need a lawyer?
The plane was sold out. The seats were tight. As I was talking on the phone, I guess he got the gist of what was going on, and I was crying some, and he was somewhat comforting, and we talked a little bit about it, and he made this suggestion to me.
Well, Mr. Simpson, what did you say to him that could have led him to suggest to you that you needed a lawyer?
That's calling for speculation on the part of this witness.
What did you say to him?
If he said anything,
This
don't know.
man said you should call a lawyer, right?
No, he said it may be a good idea that if you have a lawyer.
Did you have a lawyer?
A criminal lawyer, no.
No. What discussion that you and this man had led to a suggestion about a criminal lawyer?
We were just talking. He heard me talking to Skip Taft about what was going on, and that Skip was asking me, I'm sure. Can I talk about what Skip and I talked about?
if you weren't talking about the legal stuff, you can.
No, just about him picking me up, and he wanted to know where I want to go, and I said I need to go to my house because the police said that they'll be there, and they need to talk to me right when I land, and evidently he heard it. You'd have to ask the guy at this point. Evidently, you heard that.
Whose idea was Howard Weitzman?
Skip or I guess. One of us.
Okay. Now, did you and this other man next to you, whose name I don't have in mind right now, discuss that you might be a target?
No.
Or a suspect?
No.
But yet he recommended you might need a criminal lawyer?
He didn't say criminal lawyer. Well, he may have.
Yeah.
He said, if you're going to talk to the police, is your lawyer? I said, my lawyer's a business lawyer. He said, well, you might want to think about having another lawyer there. And that's when I called Skip and said what this guy had just said to me.
Did you speak to Weitzman from the phone? On the airplane?
I don't remember.
When was the first time you made contact with Weitzman?
I don't recall.
Was it when you were on the ground in Los Angeles?
May have been when I was at my house.
Can you remember anything else you and this passenger discussed?
No.
Now, you also have a phone call to Marcus Allen.
Yes.
Did you reach him?
No.
Did you talk to his wife?
No.
Did you talk to anybody?
I can't recall if someone was staying at his house at that time or not.
Now, the phone records show 1 minute and 20 seconds to that number. Does that jog your memory at all?
No.
What was your purpose in calling Marcus Allen?
He was a friend.
One of your closest friends?
Yes.
And you called Tawny Catane. Who was she?
A friend of Kathy's and a former friend of mine, and a friend of mine.
Former girlfriend of yours?
Yes.
And why did you call Tawny?
Bless.
I was trying to get Kathy, and I wasn't getting through. And I didn't know if Kathy had headed to her house, or I think Kathy may have,
Bless you.
I'm not sure if Kathy had changed her cell phone or may have just changed her cell phone, but if Kathy called her, I wanted to know I was looking for her.
So that was the sole purpose calling Tawny, was to get in touch with Kathy?
Yes.
Is there anything else you can tell us about all of these phone calls to Kathy and Skip other than make arrangements to pick you up?
Yeah, I think the problem was getting through. That was the problem. Most of those phone calls didn't get through.
Well, 29 of them got through.
I disagree with that.
Maybe I misspoke. Let me look. How many do you think got through?
I don't know. Maybe I would skip 2 or 3, and maybe Kathy 1 or 2.
Peter. Phone records, the notations on Exhibit 73 say 48 call attempts, 27 billable calls, calls completed. Do you believe you had 27 phone conversations?
No, I didn't.
Much fewer than those?
Yes.
No, you don't. I'm sorry.
And one call to Leroy Taft is 11 minutes plus near the end of your flight. Was
Yes,
that about
sorry.
the lawyer?
I don't know. We may have just been commiserating or at that time.
Okay. What did you mean before when you said you wanted to get yourself together?
I think I was emotionally somewhat shattered at that time, and I wanted to be strong for my kids.
Is that the only thing you had in mind?
Yes.
And that was the purpose of all these phone calls, was to get yourself together?
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
I don't know. I
Don't
didn't make
answer
that
that.
connection.
Excuse me?
Don't answer that, OJ. That's argumentative, contrary to what you've just been doing for 2 hours, or an hour and a half, or whatever it is.
Don't exaggerate, Mr. Gray.
I apologize. An hour and 24 minutes.
When you got picked up at the airport, you've already told us Randa and Taft were there, and you went off.
Yes.
Did you sign any autographs on the airplane
I may have.
coming back to Los Angeles?
I may have.
And did you sign any autographs going from the hotel to the airport and onto the plane in Chicago?
I may have.
And from the part where you departed the plane, got into the car in Los Angeles?
I don't know.
Okay. Now, when you got picked up by Taft and Randa, did you discuss the subject of Weitzman or some other criminal lawyer?
The subject,
Yeah, whether such a person had been arranged.
I may have.
And were you told that Weitzman had been retained?
I believe so. I don't know about retained, but he'll be at my house when I got there.
Okay, and did you go directly to the house?
Yes.
And when you got to the house, you got out of the car?
Yes.
Did you take your luggage?
My grip.
And what about the bag in the trunk, the Louis Vuitton with the suit bag in it?
I assumed that Skipper Kathy would grab it. I later found out that Kathy grabbed it and they wouldn't let her on the property.
And what did Kathy do with it?
She stood there. You're asking me secondhand knowledge now.
Yeah.
She stood there, and at some point Bob Kardashian came and held it for her and tried to get on the property, and the police wouldn't let him.
So what did Kardashian do with your suitcase?
I gather took it, put it in his car.
And did he take it to his home?
I don't know the sense
I
of this
don't-
because
I don't have
he doesn't
that-
have
that
any
knowledge
first-hand
of that.
knowledge of this.
Excuse me? Well, you might have heard later on
So what? I mean, it's
from
not-
Bob, and I'd like to know, based on any information you have, where that suitcase next went when Kardashian took it from Randa and put it in his car.
He may have taken it to my office, and he may have taken it home. I don't know.
When's the next time you saw the suitcase? Louis
I don't-
Vuitton suitcase.
I'm not sure. Maybe later that day, or maybe the next day. I'm just not sure.
Did you ask anyone, hey, where's my suitcase?
No.
Later on that day when you were back at your Rockingham home, that evening, I guess, right?
Yes.
Did you ask for your suitcase?
No.
Ask to see it?
No.
Did the police ask for it?
No.
You don't know if it was at Kardashian's house or at your office? Is that what you're saying?
Or if he brought it back to my house that evening, I just don't recall.
Do you remember the next time you saw it?
No.
Do you remember unpacking it?
No.
Yeah. Well, since that suitcase was taken out of Kardashian's car, that Louis Vuitton case, did you ever see it again after that?
In court.
That was the next time you saw it?
That I'm aware of, yes.
And did you ever find out from any source what happened to your suitcase after Kardashian took it?
No.
Did you ever ask?
No.
Who is Louise Perry?
I don't know.
That name means nothing to you?
No.
Now, there are calls from your Rockingham residence later in the evening of the 13th to a number, to the phone number of Ron Shipp, 805-251-2810. Did you make those calls?
No.
Did Mr. Shipp make those calls from your house to his house?
I would assume so.
Your calendar shows a luncheon with Mr. Shipp on the date of June 3, 1994.
I don't believe so.
You don't believe it shows such a luncheon?
No.
Exhibit 8A shows an entry for June 3, lunch, Ron Shipp.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see that?
Yeah.
And Exhibit 8A is both Kathy and his
No, this
account.
is Kathy's. This is not mine. One she gives me don't have all her things on it.
Well,
Let's look at 8B.
well,
Because
Miss-
8B is the one he
wait,
gets.
wait a second. Before, wait a second. Kathy wasn't going to Sydney's dance recital at 5 o'clock p.m., correct?
No,
Okay.
but on
Before
her
you
calendar, she puts all of her events on also, as you can see.
Oh, so in any event,
Well, let's see 8B, and let's find out if we have a luncheon with Ron Ship if you're going to pursue this line of
Look at mine.
inquiry.
I want to
Yes, sir.
ask you a question. Did you have lunch with Ron Schiff on
No.
June 3rd?
No,
Did Kathy?
I don't know.
Did you ever find out that Kathy did?
No, it was about that time that I know she was supposed to have a talk with him about showing up at my house.
So you think that's what that
May have
date was
been,
for?
I don't know.
Okay.
On off.
Making a note there about that?
No.
What is your
Gelblum.
note?
My note says, I don't even know what it says. One says, who is Louise Perry? The other one says, God bless America. The other one says, justice for all. One says, skip tab.
He can answer. You don't have to answer anything about your notes.
Well, Louise Perry is a name you're going to follow up on, Mr. Simpson?
You're not entitled to ask him about notes he takes during deposition.
During testimony?
Yeah, he's entitled to take notes.
Well, yeah, but it
He's
might
entitled to have some confidentiality
it
during
might
his
have some
testimony.
relevance to the proceedings. Okay.
It might. Give me the pen. I'm taking your pen away from you. I'm taking it away. Don't you give him that pen, David.
On the hard drive.